Hey, good afternoon, everyone. This is Frank Bryant over here coming to you live with another Guru's Dojo. I am sitting in here today and wanted to go over a few topics, but as usual, we have our sales team here that's not currently on the phone. You will see people come in and out of the dojo as we are live production floor. People got business right. So good afternoon. Now, I wanted to start off on a topic today, guys, that is going to be a little bit more client focused. And I'm speaking more to clients today, but I think agents will also have a really good, really good lesson from it. And that is, how do you determine if the person you're talking to actually has a vested interest in you, right? If the agent that you're talking to as a client, as someone that's looking for help with this stuff, is really actually there to help you, or is there just to make a sale, right? And that's a very important thing. That's what a lot of our clients really worry about, because they talk to you and they have the guard up because they've been through this cycle before, right? They know that, well, I got on this plan, it sounded good, but it really didn't do anything for me, and you know, that kind of stuff. So as a client, how do you actually suss that out, right? How do you figure out that is how do you root out that motivation? Right? If there is a motivation other than making money, which is what you really want to look for in someone that's going to be helping you.
I did that this morning.
Really?
The old boy from down the road here. He's not even my client. He has a plan G with us, but he works with Becky.
Mm-hmm.
But he called in like last week when her power was out and he needed help. So I was like, yeah, look, I can help you if Becky's out. This is the guy that liked me so much. He was like, I'd like to call for you. And I'm like, okay, you're still Becky's client, but like, I'll help you. So he's in a situation where I told the story last week about his dentist, the hotshot dentist, and they're doing periodontal cleanings left and right. But he went and it's going to cost $6,000, all for what the dentist wants to do. So that's like 2 periodontal cleanings. That's 2 crowns and 1 cavity. It's like $6,000. And he goes, my options are Aetna, United Healthcare, Emeritus, and 1 other dental plan. And I go, okay, I can look at each 4. You know, so we're appointed with Aetna, was able to pull up Aetna. It wasn't competitive. Was able to go to United Healthcare, even less competitive. Emeritus had day 1 major coverage. You go, oh, and it had the biggest benefit. Oh, and it was one of the lowest premiums. And so I was telling him, because he even started, he kind of pulled that too. He's a little sus. We'll use that Frank Bryant word. He's a little sus, but he goes, you know, treat me like you would treat your dad. And I go, I do everybody that anyway, but it's okay. I'll get you taken care of here. And so it came down to it, and I was like, look, you need to do the Emeritus Dental. I'm not appointed. I can't sell it, but I'm not going to sell you something that's worse than the best offering out there. So let's call this number. Let's see how we can do it. And he was just so confused, because it's like, I'm going to transfer you over, and they're going to write you the policy. He goes, well, how do you get credit for it? And I just go, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, what do you mean? I was like, I'm not appointed with that company. I'm not able to sell their products. If this was an Aetna one that we were doing, if it just so happened that Aetna was your best bet, then yes, I could be your agent for that. But for this particular situation, I can't put my name on it. So I have to get you to somebody who does. But he was just worried the whole time was, how are you going to get credit for this? You know, you've talked to me for an hour and a half over the span of the last week and a half here. You spent time with me. We have a relationship. You know, he goes, okay, well, what can I do for your name to get put on it? And I go,
nothing.
I go, take me fly fishing. Because like I said, old boy right down the road, and we talked about fly fishing just here. I mean, less than 10 miles. And I was like, we'll meet up. We'll go fly fishing. And he goes like, okay, you know, we'll do that. He goes, but I'm going to figure something out, though. I'm going to do something to help you. I said, okay. And he sent me an email just now, and he was like, hey, called Emeritus, got signed up, everything's good to go. I'll let you know how it goes after the first claim. And that's not me passing the buck over to, oh boy, $6,000 worth of dental claims is sure a whole lot. I don't want to deal with that. No, I'm still going to deal with it, because I told him, still call me. I'm still here for you.
He's still our client.
He's still our client, yes. But at the end of the day, he was just so dumbfounded because I wasn't getting any credit for helping him.
So how do you, and that's fantastic, but that's also another relevant thing. He also said something just recently about this, where you talk about fly fishing and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. But how do we get to that level where a customer, and how do customers understand that that's what your agent should do, or that that's what this person that's on the phone with them is going to do, right? Other than just going, you can trust me, I do this. No, they're not going to. They're not going to trust you.
I'm not going to cheat on you, baby. It's
Well,
okay.
I
It just
promise
happened,
I
it just
changed.
happened one time.
I
Yeah.
changed. Found Jesus. No, how do we get there, right? And how does a client understand that those things are happening, right? Because that's a built-up relationship. What you did was absolutely wonderful, but that also is capitalizing off of years of a client relationship that already went through the steps to build that kind of trust, to ask that question in the first place.
I'll take it a step across from you, not in front of you or behind you here, but I've never talked to this gentleman.
Right.
And yes, there is a somewhat of a relationship coming into it. It's like, hey, she's not here today, I'm just helping out. But now it's turned into, yes, he is still a policy holder of ours.
Right.
But now he's like, I'm going to work with you. And I'm like, well, you can't technically. I'll get you all the steps and then hand it over.
Tell me about the steps you made before you started making that recommendation or verifying what he found.
Well, like I said, it was an hour conversation last week
Right.
over this whole situation. And I took just really good notes. I just did the simple thing that I tell everybody, okay, what's going on? What do you need help with? And he just goes, well, I'm having this issue with my dental plan. And so then he went about the deep cleanings, and I told him my story about how I think there was a convention and all these hotshot dentists were like, hey, we can make a lot of money doing these deep cleanings. We should just prescribe them to everybody out there and throw the periodontal dentist some extra money. And then from there, it was just listening to his needs.
Right.
And I didn't even from the first call, I didn't offer him a dental product because I told him, I was like, buddy, you don't know what you need.
Right.
Because you haven't been to a dentist. So I can't recommend what's going to work best. Sure, they work with Aetna, which you know that already. Perfect. But that doesn't mean Aetna's going to be the best one. I don't know until you go.
Right. So number one, you, at the beginning of the interaction, because it wasn't your direct client, even though it was Becky's, you opened it up just like it was a new client because you asked them what they needed to start.
To me, it is a new client.
Exactly.
Yes.
But all of that stuff in the middle, the discovery, the communication about what their life is, what they're needing, what they want to do, and all that other stuff before you even made a recommendation, before you even had a path at which you needed to go. That's what customers need to look for. Customers need to look for people that have a genuine interest, not only in making a sale, but for what that product or what that person's needs that need to be accomplished and their goals are. And that's something that's very, very, very rare nowadays. We see it all the time. People go, oh, I just want to call. Oh, well, thank you for calling. Or, oh, thank you for picking up, or something like that. And they go, I want to let you know about Aetna's new blah, blah. Don't care. Trying to sell me something. You weren't trying to sell anything on that client.
No.
And it's counterintuitive. If I'm a client and I'm looking for something, as cynical as the world is today, I want to get with someone that wants to have an engagement with me, that's interested in me, interested in what my life's going to be like, and it has at least a tentative hold on my well-being. You know, even if it's something, for me personally, even if it's something is like, I want to do a good job just so I don't have to hear about me not doing a good job, right? Something that says, hey, other than putting money in my pocket, what can I do for you? Right? Yeah. Just some sort of interest. And I think that we tend to lose that a lot. Yes, we need to make sales to make money and keep the doors open and be able to continue to service our clients. That's a given. But we miss all the steps in between to build that trust and rapport. And clients are having difficulty seeing that. So if you were going over, and let's say, for example, your mom, right, was going to have to get something that you weren't in the area for. An ACA plan or conventional health plan, because you don't do those right now, right? And it's something that's outside the scope of this. You're going to have to send her to someone, you don't even know anyone. What would you tell her to watch out for? And what would you tell her to look for when finding an agent is the real question. So
exactly. I mean, the thing of what you said, I don't want to say it's an agenda, an agent that has an agenda, but if they already have a product picked out for you before you already have an idea, like it's a little bit easier when we talk about ancillary coverage because everybody has their go-tos. Like mine is the Cigna 5000. It's just because it's the biggest benefit there is, and it's not terribly priced. Okay, you know, some people back in the day, Frank's was the Lower Mutual of Omaha dental plan, their PPO plan, because it was $20 and you get $1,000 worth of coverage and your cleanings are free.
And they'll also do a PPO network so you can get reimbursement even if it's outside the network.
Yeah, so you can go anywhere you want. Don't disregard that. Like everybody, you have your own companies, your own products that you like to work with. But if somebody comes in and immediately just goes, you need this Aetna PPO, without talking to your doctors, without looking at your medications, without going into everything. I mean, really, and that's what Mike, he's actually on a phone call right now. That's what I've been trying to instill in Mike here today with our training is, look, even though some of these people, it might be my client, talk to them and have a conversation with them. Because I remember when I did this and I was doing it for Frank, my whole goal for that call was them to forget that you're their agent, right? And want to work with me, not work with you, even though I wasn't licensed. They couldn't legally, work with me. But I wanted to steal all of your spotlight. Those people, just forget about it. You don't need him. You've got me now. You don't need him. Okay, you got the upgraded version here. But
he actually said that.
There was this is what I said one time where he had to leave for something, and he was going to finish a Manhattan app, and he was like, "Hey, can you take over here?" And he was like, "Okay." And she was like, "All right, here's Jacob. He's kind of like me. He's just not as good." Oh. And then I go, "Okay." And then I get on the phone, and before he goes like, "Yeah, hey, it's Jacob here. Pleasure to meet you. I definitely have more hair than the gentleman you were talking to." But it was like that funny give back and forth. But that was my whole mindset when I started out, and especially in doing this too, where, I'm not stealing your clients, but I want them to love me more than they love you.
Right. But if I'm a client looking, that's the key though, is that you have to watch out as a client for people that are going in a transactional method. And that's the big problem that a lot of people are encountering, is that everyone is so transactional with it. Even in their attempts to build rapport, they're so robotic, and it's just like, oh, ask about weather. No, it doesn't matter. I mean, are you talking to a meteorologist? Is that what he did for 30 years? Then it's okay. But no one asks these questions. No one takes a real interest in people, right? And I would say if it is my mom actually going through it, and my mom right now has federal employee benefit because she works for the VA, right? But she also gets to choose some of the reps and stuff on there. And anytime she needs help with anything, even if it's something like getting her car serviced, I was like, Mom, talk to the person, and don't ever, if you're looking to buy anything, don't ever think that you are wasting that person's time. Engage them in conversation and see how they react to you engaging them in conversation. As a consumer, do that. Because if they start seeming disinterested, or they start really trying to oversteer it to where it needs to be, then they are not interested, right? They should care about you as an individual, as a human being, as a long-term consumer, right? Like they should embrace that. And if you're talking to someone who doesn't embrace that, they're either brand new or they're highly transactional, and you don't want to be that anyway. This stuff's way too important for you to be just a number. Way too important. So, I mean, that's one of the things though. So when we're talking, what are some other things that you can see to where if you're an agent, right? If you were speaking to an agent in some other aspect of your life, what are some of the things that you personally would watch out for and make you feel like you're not being valued or you're not being seen as anything other than a sale?
Well, I can tell you what would make me feel valued is somebody, right, getting into a conversation with me, getting to know me, but asking me questions that I never even thought to ask myself in this whole scenario. When you're looking for insurance, do you think to yourself, okay, I have this question about this. I want to make sure this is covered. I want to make sure so-and-so is taken care of. And if I have this situation going on, I want to make sure that's also going to be covered. I have a question about that. But when an agent gets to know me to the point where they're asking me things that didn't even occur to me could be a possibility, they bring up a scenario that I hadn't even thought about, that they're looking out for me and making sure that even this scenario I hadn't even thought about is going to be covered.
Good. Yeah. Yeah, I like that, because that also ties into what Jacob really kind of found and innovated when it comes to final expense. Who takes care of you when you're sick?
I think, and I have a prime example here. So this weekend we've been trying to find a dog trainer for Miller, to take him like 2 weeks to like whole month. And so we had this call with people in San Antonio. There were 2 ex-Marines.
Please don't say ex. We hate it when you
sorry,
say
not
ex.
ex-Marine, Marines.
Former Marine or Marine.
Former Marine. Okay. Ex-wife.
Or yeah, we don't get divorced from the
not
Corps.
Former wife, it's ex-wife. Okay. But
or just Marine. Just
Or
say
Marine.
Marines. I have 2 Marines.
So,
You're always a
2
Marine.
trainers. And so it was a really nice conversation. We talked to him for about, 30, 45 minutes or so. He was really not statistical, but you could tell that's like it was a little bit of a rehearsed pitch. And like me and Michelle were side by side on speakerphone, and I even, because I had my laptop with my email up, and I was like, this guy's not that really good of a salesman, because he did a lot of talking and not a lot of listening.
Mm-hmm.
So after we did that, there was one guy in Dallas that we're trying to get information on now. And he responded. He called me this morning at like 8:15. So it's like I had to send a voicemail. All of a sudden, I get 4 text messages like, zzz, 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 zzz. It's all copy and paste bull crap that he sends to everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
That is like, hi, this is me responding to your request. Next message. The boarding rates are as follows. Next message. This is how I train. Next message. Please send me first name, last name, dog name, date of birth, breed. And like, it's like my phone was blowing up, and I go, nobody can text this quick. And I mean, they're paragraphs, each text.
Ugh.
How do you think that made me feel?
Yeah, and you're going to send your baby to live with them for 2 weeks or however
This guy doesn't even
No.
have a timer. He just goes, he's done when I'm done with him.
Yeah, and you're going to, no.
So that could be 5, 6 weeks, or 2 weeks, 3
Yeah.
weeks.
Better
But-
yet, why doesn't anyone ask, well, what do you want your dog to be?
Mhm.
Do you want to be a sheepdog? Do you want him to be like a guard dog? Do you want him to just be someone that's really good for the kids? What do you want? Do you want a calm dog? Do you want
Exactly.
a dog to play with? What do you want?
And that guy didn't bring up anything. I mean, I'm going to call him later today, and we're going to have a phone conversation. But with the guy that we talked about on Sunday, I made it clear. I'm like, look, we need 2 separate things. Number one, Michelle needs training for him in the house because she's starting a new job. So he needs to be a little bit more calmer and not freak out. So it's easy to work with from home. What I want him to be e-collar trained, because we do a lot of outdoor stuff. Like, I want to go to the Llano River where it's 500 yards wide,
Mm-hmm.
and I can be 300 yards upstream fishing, and he's just out in the grass just running around. I can hit the button. He comes straight back to me.
Right. Or you can even make there are trainers out there that can make a certain whistle or a call
Mhm.
where that dog doesn't matter what he's doing, he's coming back to you.
Exactly. And so that was in bless the guy's heart, the current Marine or Marine. And he just would not ask.
Retired Marine. it's
Retired
okay.
Marine. He just would not ask me what I wanted. He wouldn't ask me. And then finally at the very end, I'm like, look, like this is all fun and dandy. We're talking about impulse control. We're talking about at-home stuff. Here's what I am concerned with. Because all he did is ask her.
Oh, well, of course he's going to ask her.
Well, yeah, but
Because let's face it, Michelle's making the decision.
yeah, actually not on this one.
I know.
Up to me.
Well,
but-
usually, yeah.
But you had to tell him the questions the basic things he should have been asking you. You had to tell him how to do his job, and that's
Well, no, his job is to train dogs.
Mhm. His job is to not sell his training. His job is to be the trainer.
Right.
So he needs somebody else to be doing the selling, it sounds like.
And honestly, his interest, and that's one of the things that's triggering you, is that his interest really isn't in you.
His interest is in the dog.
Mhm.
Right. Which I guess is okay, but you're right. I mean, it's something that really can drive you nuts, and it drives our clients nuts. And
Mhm.
the problem is that so many people are so desensitized to this.
Well, they're getting so many phone calls. They're
Well,
getting people.
I
that-
don't think it's the number of phone calls. I think it's the sincerity behind the phone call.
Of course it is.
well, it's going back to basics. I mean, that's how people used to talk to each other. They used to come over for coffee and talk
Yeah.
about each other and the families, and it's just been the sales process has been just so twisted and just it's in this abomination now where it's the other agents going into these sales classes. Every person on the phone has a number, a dollar sign on their head, or they're a sale. So many sales per call. Ratio, and classes on selling to women, and it's all people. These are sales that call, not people. They're people, and you have to talk to them like people. And I think it's just simply getting back to what it was, which is two humans interacting.
True, but I mean, the problem is that it's two humans interacting. So not only do we have to work on, which we do a lot of work on, which is the agent side of it, but there's also another factor, and this is how do you deal with a client that's been beat up and desensitized? They're two different things. So when we speak to this, like this video here is for much for future clients, as it is there. Things to watch out for, not necessarily just things we do, because we also bring on new people, and they're, to be honest, they haven't gotten their feet under them yet, and it's going to take a little while. It takes a long time to learn how to do a human interaction. Hell, I didn't even know how to talk to people in general until I was about 16. I mean, think about it. How many of us, like when we grew up and we went through this, oh God, I'm so awkward, right? Because we just didn't get it. And it's a whole new thing. It's like relearning those basic human interaction skills when there's a goal in mind other than I want to find my forever person, you know? It's just, that's just what it is. So when I'm on the phone with people and people call in, there's a difference. There's a smattering of it. I mean, even things right now, like people and clients have this thing where, and agents and also salespeople in general, they go, okay, well, clients stopped really caring about if you ask how they're doing today because they didn't think it was genuine. And therefore, salespeople over the phone stopped asking that because it wasn't genuine or they weren't getting a good response out of it. And that's the problem. When you do things just for a response, right? And you should care about how people are doing because that's going to dictate the rest of your call. If they're having a bad day, we're going to have a different conversation. Maybe I should ask, well, what's wrong? Well, I don't want to bother you with it. It's not a bother. I get paid to do this. What's going on? Maybe I can help. I got a flat tire and I can't get in. Hold on a second. Let me Google that. How do you demonstrate value to someone just on your presence, right? If you're dealing with this as a client, how can you allow someone in? Not by exposing yourself, but just giving them a chance to help you in something.
Well,
Right.
I try to be personal. If I get somebody on the phone, somebody called me back today that it was one of the anniversary calls. I had actually left a message with her aunt, and they were like, "Oh, she doesn't need any help." And I was like, "Well, let me just leave a message because sometimes it's a good thing to look at what they have and whatever." So I gave her my name and phone number, and that was last week, the week before, and this lady called me back, and I was in the bathroom when she called. So I called her back, and so I was like, another client told me that sitting on the toilet is like a button for somebody to call every single time. And so that got the conversation going because I think it humanized me with her, and we had a great conversation, and I'm going to call her back in October. She needs a new drug plan. But I think, but sometimes people are easier to talk to than others, but I try to humanize myself when I'm on the phone with somebody. I mean, that's a silly little story, but
a little self-deprecation goes a long way.
Yeah. I mean, I try to humanize myself, and I didn't go straight into like, what do you need? And I wasn't like immediately into it. It was a great conversation. So
and this is my little to piggyback off. This is my little soapbox here, because I listen to a few podcasts about Medicare and Medicare agents, especially when I'm walking Miller. So we went to 3 Mile Walk yesterday, which is about an hour or so. But I listened to a podcast about this guy that they interviewed. Within 6 weeks, he sold $168,000 in annual premium in used leads. Now, you guys might not know what that is. That is a lead that has been bought over time after time, where it is pennies for lead acquisition cost. And so really the lower your acquisition cost, the less time you have, or the less value that people perceive it as. You see, it's crap leads.
So you sold about 70 policies just off that in 6 weeks.
It's time fillers.
Yeah.
But the way that he approached it is what exactly we did here. He didn't have an attitude about it. He didn't go, these are crap leads because they're so cheap. He goes, these are so cheap. I have a lot of opportunity here if I convert them.
Right.
So for him, his approach wasn't transactional because he knows these people are getting blasted. And you can have an attitude and say, these are the worst type of leads ever. People do this day in and day out.
And by the way, they're not the worst type of leads ever. It's just they've had the worst agents calling them so far.
Exactly.
Yeah, and this lady was like, okay, tell me exactly the phone number you're going to calling me from, so I make sure I answer, because I get so many phone calls. I want to make sure I answer when you call me.
Right.
So yeah.
One of the things I think we can universally agree is that if I'm a client, I should actually look for someone who is not going to immediately go into a pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, first and foremost. Why are you calling? Well, I just wanted to expose you to. Well, guess what? I'm not interested. And you shouldn't be interested. It's okay to talk to someone who also doesn't know exactly what they can do for you if they're looking to help. They know, you as a client should know that if they're calling for Medicare and you're of Medicare age, there is a criteria and a reason to call. But the person on the other line might not know exactly what it is yet, because it's a big thing that we do. There's a lot of working parts, right?
Nico, I have a little interject for you here. We actually made a video using a live call that I did where the lady said, oh no, this is just another sales call. I don't want to talk to you. And I go, no, I don't want to have to sell you something. I don't want to have to.
Right.
And he immediately just interjects. So if you can link that back,
right,
that'd be in there.
So, you, and by the way, it's a very difficult conversation to have with somebody if they're not going to let me know what it is they need for help. Number one, we're not calling anyone that hasn't been put into that scenario because they haven't requested that assistance at one level or another. Either they went to the website, either they responded to a mailer, either that, or they've been put on a list because they already showed interest in it and everything else. I'm here to help as a Medicare specialist. That doesn't necessarily mean selling anything. And it's okay to ask an agent. It's okay to ask anyone that's trying to contact you on the phone how they can help. Right? It's okay to go, well, how can you help? And also be ready to actually talk to someone and say, well, if they go, well, I don't know how I can help you because I don't know what you need. It's okay. You don't have to give someone your social just to say, hey, I need help with a Part B deductible, or I need help with finding a doctor in my area. Just say it. Just speak to the person. And if they can help you, that's a good sign. And if they say they can help you and don't go into a pitch and actually give you that value right away, another great sign. You should probably continue that call. There's no telling what that person can do for you. You just have to ask. So I find it's really funny because people are so guarded with just having a conversation that they don't even seek value from people, right? We have that same problem here where people immediately put up a barrier and we're like, okay, bye. Mm-hmm. Now, tell me what's going on. Tell me what's going on. I've actually had a client go, well, can you find a bail bondsman for my nephew? Yep. Let's Google that. Where are you at? Uh-huh. Right? I mean, it's okay. I mean, that's one of the things that, watch out for people that are willing to get off the phone with you. Right? If as a consumer, if they're treating it like you're not worth their time, then they're not worth yours. That person should spend as much time on the phone with you as they possibly can to see how they can help you. Because that's ultimately what we do. We don't sell anything here. We facilitate solutions for people that need something done. That's what it is.
It's just like dating.
It is. I keep saying this and y'all laugh at me every time.
Like
it is dating.
It's what it is. It's what it is.
Right.
And especially for you don't want to be, you can tell the agents that haven't sold something in a while.
Oh, they're needy.
Oh, they're just needy. Why didn't you respond? Why didn't you text me back in time?
Yeah.
Go do this, go do that. And then, well, can you do this? No, I can't. But you still have to do yours. It's exactly like dating is what it is. That's the initial approach is the feeler out opportunity. You go, okay, is this person going to be interesting or not?
Right.
Do they have my interest in mind, or are they just talking about themselves?
Right.
It's just like dating. It's exactly like it is. And I know I told that one story about how the family got engaged in the first date, and I'm like, okay, that's a yeah, just exile that information there. But that's what they're doing when you do your intro. It's just like you're going up to them at a bar. You know, you're trying to start a relationship with these people. And if your introduction game is not strong, you're going to get turned down and get rejected. You're going to get hung up on, or they're going to say, you know, I'm fine where I'm at. I don't need any help. Okay. Well, it's, you know, you got to be. Victoria laughs at me because I told that one guy, or I think it was on the phone with Penny, where I was like, you got to understand, this is to a lead that I've never met in person. This is the first time I talked to him when Penny brought me on. I go, you're turning 65. You're looking really fine right now. To every agent out there, you are the hot boy at the bar, and everybody's trying to get a piece. Okay. But what that means is there's going to be a lot of people that come up and hit on you, but they don't have your best interest in mind. Because they're just seeing that you're T65. They're not seeing that you're Bill from wherever. So you have to be aware that you're going to get phone calls, you're going to get emails, you're going to get mailers from all these people just looking for your attention. But if you notice, none of them are asking about you. They're telling you what you need to do because you're turning 65.
Right.
You're exactly right. Because, like, imagine you're a woman at a bar, guys come up to you and you're like, no, I don't want to hear it. No, I'm going to hear a bunch of bull crap come out of your mouth, a pitch, whatever. But if you say no to somebody and they say, no, I just want to make sure you're okay. I want to make sure nobody's bothering you. You know, I want to make sure you have a safe ride home for the night. You know, I want to, then the woman's like, oh yeah, actually, and you open up the conversation. If you actually act like you care about her, you're right. It's exactly the same way with these clients. Look, I'm not trying to sell you something. I'm not trying to go home with you tonight. You know, I just want to make sure everything's okay. You know, make sure you're good to go. And if so, great. I'll leave you be, and you know where to reach me. But if not, let's see how I can help.
And that's one of the things. So I like it. I like what you're also talking about, both of y'all, because one of the things that you can demonstrate value is to be open and honest about the situation that they're in. Don't try to apologize for other people or the situation they're in. Be honest about it. And you're pulling the curtain and seeing what's behind it a little bit is a value in itself, right? So right now, already the things that a client should look for and that an agent should try to provide immediately is interest, which is interest in that client as a human being, right? And not forced. Don't try to script this stuff. Not the interest part. Keep it open. Open. That client wants to start talking about how their psychiatrist is just not really suiting their needs. Fine, I will listen to that all day. And I will find a way to pay for a new psychiatrist. It's what I do, right? But you go through there, but you also have to be honest. You got to demonstrate honesty. And that can sometimes be to what would be considered a detriment, right? But it's really not. You know, people respond to honesty because really being honest is a power play.
It's rare.
Huh?
Yeah, it's rare nowadays.
It is rare because everyone's a little weak and just a bunch of weak, scared people running around being, oh God, I don't want to. No, man, I'm going to be honest. I can't help you. I can't help you. And if I can't help you, then probably you can't really get help.
You're a lost cause.
Right?
He's single forever.
Yeah.
You're single for, yeah. That's a goal, not a consequence.
Exit plans.
No, but seriously, I mean, we've staged ourselves as to being a one-stop shop for anything Medicare. We can help you with an Advantage plan. We can help you with your supplement. We can help you with all these things. You just got to give us a chance, right? I mean, even there's a funny thing out here. We have that video in our training and things. There's studies that have been out there where they'll show human interactions between a doctor and a patient, and they'll show a video of it. And the people that were in that study actually assigned and said, okay, that's good. Those people can predict versus those doctors that are in that practice session to almost perfect degree which doctor in the next 10 years is going to be sued or not for malpractice. It has nothing to do with their aptitude. It's all about how they interact with people, right? It's that trust that they got. Even if they screwed up, the people trust them and like, no, it's not his fault. You people leave scissors inside of people. I don't know what to tell you. It happens.
It does.
Right? Yet the other doctor who is like super house proficient, like in house, gets sued left and right because we're like, I just don't like the guy. Right? I don't feel like he's working in my best interest, even though he is. So we know that honesty pays out a lot, interest pays out immensely because it allows you that step to be honest. And a customer should look at that genuine interest at first. Right? So if I'm a customer and I'm going out there, I'm going to go, okay, I'm going to pick up the phone. Someone's going to start talking. They should ask me how I'm doing, or they should go something. And generally speaking, they need to wait for me to talk, right? Or wait for me to open up. Because either you're bothering me or you're here to help me. And you can't know if you're here to help me if you just start going into what we're going to do. I mean, they already see this already every day. They go to their doctor. Their doctor already has their new medication scripts written before they even talk to them. They're like, oh yeah, I just looked at your chart. There's 3 questions. Bye. Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Right.
Right? Give them an opportunity to be honest. Engage with them. Engage with your agent.
Mm-hmm.
Agents, engage back. I see this, what's that? There's not too many sales memes out there, but there's always one out there that goes, my face when customer talks about anything other than products, like, ooh. And it's the dumbest thing ever because I want them to talk about that stuff. I mean, again, who takes care of you when things go bad? Who takes care of you when you're sick?
I think it's what are the 5 questions of who, what, where?
Who, what, when, where, and then
Are those called something?
How?
no, who, what, when, where, why.
Right? They're like adjectives, aren't they?
Right, but it's the journalistic principles.
Okay.
Who, what, when, where, and why, and then how can be an extra for later.
I think you need to look for an agent that asks those questions.
Right.
Because just like call I did today where, he's looking for dental. Okay. Why do you need dental?
Right.
Why did they tell you that you need dental? Okay. How would you like to cover this? Would you like to pay out of pocket? Would you like to get and pay monthly? A lot of those questions where if they go, oh no, I'm fine. Okay. How do you know you're fine? Somebody's turning 65 and they signed up for an Advantage plan that starts 11/1 here. They say, oh no, I'm all good. I got signed up with my Advantage plan. Okay. Well, how do you know you're going to be good if you haven't used it? You still got a month and a week before it even becomes active.
Right.
And you don't really know. Did they explain how it works? Did they say why you need this? You can go through all those questions if your agent is asking those, but they're asking them, like you said, because they have a genuine interest in you. They're not asking them because it's on a sheet of paper that their employer just handed to them and said, okay, if you get this objection, go here. This objection, go here. When we ask those questions, a lot of times when I ask them too, I'm just curious. I really am, where if it's like, well, I did this. Okay, well, if you don't mind me, why? Why though? Because I don't really see people do that a lot. What made you come to that decision? How did you decide that? What were the factors that went into you wanting this AARP United Healthcare plan? Was it just because your sister has it? Was it just because your friend has it and they like it? Well, they're on Medicaid too, so it's going to be different for you.
Right.
A lot of people, again, it goes back to agents that have agendas that say, I'm going to sell you something, or I'm going to shove this down your throat until you buy it. I'm not getting off the phone until I buy something. Those are the ones that are not actually asking those questions.
Right.
And those are so important. And once you can master it, once you can. Me and Mike was talking to one of my ladies, and this poor sweetheart, bless her heart, she has this medication for her circulation. And I heard her tell Mike, she goes, oh, I'm never going to be approved by any of these medical companies. They'll never want to take me again. Now, going back to it, I wrote her 2 years ago with this same medication. So it's not a declinable one, but she thinks it's declinable. If I was on that phone call, I would go, well, name, why do you think that? What led you to think that this is a declinable medication? Because I got you approved 2 years ago. What changed? Because there's some underlying thing beneath it. And there's a reason. And the more I do this job, the more philosophical I really like to get with it, because it goes down to really how people are people. But there's got to be a reason, and I was pissed that Mike didn't ask because now it's just eating me up.
He's new.
I know he's new, but I'm like, this advanced level stuff here. But I was like, I really want to know why she thinks it's bad that she takes this medication if she got approved.
Because you might
Because
have a friend who has the same thing and they have a terrible agent who's afraid of underwriting and said, oh, you're just declinable.
Or she
Mhm.
talked to an agent herself that said, no, I can't do that because he only works with one company.
Mhm.
But also there's another factor to this. Why? That's very important.
Mhm.
How many times does anyone, raise your hand here if you've gotten a customer that put in an actual lead, we know that they're there, and they pick up the phone and they go, I don't want any phone calls. I want to talk to you.
Oh, yeah.
Who does, who's it?
Right.
All right. Has anyone here gone, well, why? Is everything okay?
Mhm.
Well, yeah, I just keep on getting phone
Yeah.
calls. Right. Yeah, I know you do.
Well, I can help with that.
I get, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, let me go ahead and see if I can fix it. So how many calls have you been getting? Jeez, I hate hearing that. I hate hearing that people are just getting beat up. It's that time of the year.
Yeah.
They just keep on calling all over the place. You get into a conversation and it has nothing to do with trying to sell them something. And by the way, we can do a lot to help fix that. I remember one time when we were the first company to ever offer online rates for Medicare supplements, right? You know what that ended up doing? Agents would go to use our site for their own clients.
Mhm.
Well, some agents aren't very bright. So you would start seeing these guys that it would create the customer contact page, and every time they went back to the site, it's another request for assistance. They check a box saying, hey, you know we have to call you if you go to this site to attempt to verify that what we're showing you is correct and to do our duty. Well, what happens when an agent gets lazy and just saves the form fields and uses a customer's information to get quotes for all of their customers over and over and over and over again? Oh my God. So finally, after 10 leads in, which means at least 10 calls from us to try to get to this customer who is asking for assistance, you guys keep on calling me. I haven't asked for anything. Well, someone did. I mean, you've been coming to us actually like 7 times in the last 3 days. What? I'm not going to that website. Oh, do you have an agent? Yes. And this is years ago before a lot of agents had any outside quoting tools. Let me check on this and I'll get right back with you. I think I know what the problem is. And I walk them through it. Whenever someone comes to our website, they're actually putting in a request for assistance. I'm a Medicare specialist. This is what we do, but we also show rates online. I think and sure enough, looked at the IP address. Guess where it was? It was their agent getting quotes and signing this person up for a consult with us every single time. So tell your agent to please stop using that. If they want access to it, let us know. We'll figure out a way to help them out because we want people to be helped. But if they keep doing this and using your stuff, that's a big problem. And by the way, they shouldn't be reusing this all the time, and that's your stuff. Well, guess who has a new client now? We do.
It's the old adage where it's like, I don't want to sell you if I don't have to sell you.
Well, you got to stop selling.
Type of thing. Yeah.
Step one.
Where it's not selling, where you're actually trying to help them figure out what the heck happened for this phone call.
And I think that's the thing is that step one to being really great at sales is stop selling.
Mm-hmm.
Step one to finding someone who's going to really be able to help you is to find people that aren't selling. Not really. I mean, if you're on the phone with one of us, it should be a foregone conclusion that if there's something to do to help you, we're going to do it, and then you're going to be our client. Right? But you can't, there's no reason for anyone that gets on the phone to settle for someone who is A, not interested in them, B, not being honest with them, C, desperate to get their business. Right? Just don't look for any of those things. Or D, in a hurry to get through to the next person. I mean, those are the big 4 that I would look for. If I'm getting any of that from anyone that's trying to do, I don't care if it's getting new tires or get my brakes done or oil changed. If I get a whiff of any one of those, I'm out of that business. They're not going to be my client. I'm not going to be their client, period. I shouldn't feel bad for giving someone money. Right? I shouldn't feel like, oh, I'm bothering you by letting you earn a living off of my effort. No, man. So, I mean, that's my thing. So, I mean, for me personally, if I'm going to be a client of someone, especially in the insurance world, I need someone to be interested in me as a human being and not as a dollar sign. I need someone that's going to be honest with me, even if it is a detriment to them. I need someone who is not in a hurry and not going to be salesy. That's it.
Now, Penny and Alice, we haven't really heard from you guys. What would you recommend?
To a client,
To a
not to an
client.
agent.
No, I mean, I think all the points that have been brought up are very good
Give 'em
points
something
and
new.
valid. Oh, I don't
Give 'em
know. I
something
can give
new.
examples of, like, I talked to somebody today that I helped his wife sign him up for Part A on Medicare. I've talked to him twice, although not counting this morning when he called to see if it'd be all right if she called in because he's driving. And he wanted to give me his social security number and his, checking and whatever. And I said, oh, no, I don't need any of that. I said, and she'll have whatever when she'll be doing the form on her side and I won't even see it. So she'll know those numbers and be able to put that in at the time. But we'd had good enough conversations already without the point being sales, for him to know I was the right person to talk to this morning and make sure he got signed up like he needed to, because he only needs A.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that was a yay, because example of doing the right thing and knowing, and not hurrying, I think is the big thing, because we'd had 2 nice conversations previously. So I think, the not hurrying through the conversation, letting him talk enough that information comes up that you may not have been made aware of otherwise, that they may not realize they can get help for that. I've had numerous calls where people don't even realize that's something they can get help with, that whatever's going on. But I would never know that if I was hurrying up and on to the next and trying to race through the conversation.
I'm sure he was very surprised when you didn't right away want to take his social and his personal information. He was ready to give it to you.
Yeah, he was ready this morning. I mean, because we've already had nice conversations where I've.
He trusts you.
Mm-hmm.
And then she trusts me too now, although I'd be another 7 years before I can help her. That's okay.
I hate to say it though, but you pulled, and this is sorry for the agent side of it here, but this is the pro move here, where they tried to give you something and you gave it back away, because it's just like comparing yourself to the girl at the bar where all these dudes are coming up.
Mm-hmm.
If you tried to offer your phone number to him and he goes, I'm good. I don't want that yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'll need that in a little bit. I don't want that yet.
Right.
You're going to go, what?
I know. Be like,
What?
Oh, really?
This has never happened before. You
Right.
don't want my number? But it's like for those clients that call in and they're like, or you get to talking and it's a referral and they're like, do you need my Medicare number? And I go, no, I don't. And never give it out to anybody either. Keep it to yourself. Besides me.
Right.
Keep it to yourself. Okay. Or like, do I need my checking account? No, you don't need that. Not just yet. We don't need that right now, because those newer agents out there, and now it's kind of transitioning back for more of the individual seniors here. You'll know you got somebody who hasn't done anything in a while if they're like, okay, do you need my Medicare number? They go, yes, please. Yes, please go get it right now.
Well,
And you're not even at the point for it.
He has a teaching opportunity. Like, actually, no, I don't need it. And actually, nobody needs that to be able to give you this information and find out what you need.
To just talk to you.
Right.
Now, if we're enrolling, that's a different thing. But if you
Right.
just want somebody to talk to and look at something, I don't need any of this.
Well, and as a consumer, you should also be wary of that too, which is as soon as someone, watch out for people that do this to you. People that come in and like you give them what's called a buying signal, right? Which is just asking something that would actually detail or have to do with signing up for something or enrollment, right? Watch out for people that jump on that and try to make everything happen right away. Because that's what a lot of people are conditioned to do. But realistically speaking, if you're a consumer, you need to watch out for that. Because there are some people out there that'll be like, oh yeah, this. And as soon as you go, oh, okay, so how much does that cost and how do I get it? They go get your car. Nope. Because here's the thing, if that's what they do immediately, that means there's probably other things that were in place that needed to happen, right? So that you know what you're getting and you know how it works well and you know how to use it properly. that now they have shortcutted out and said, I want to get this done and move on to the next person. You have to watch out for that as a consumer, right? As a consumer, you should actually go, what do I need to know about how to utilize something? What does it do? What are the things on here? I run into this all the time. I know people that have been on their plans for years that don't even know what to do, know what it does. I've seen way too many people drop an old F plan. I've been in long enough, it was the old J plans and the G plans and things of that nature. They drop this plan to go with something quote unquote cheaper or lower premium, and they don't even know what they gave up. Because someone stopped that process of learning about what the difference of what you had. And there's an old saying, you don't know what you had until you lost it. Well, really, you don't know what you had until after you try to use the new thing. And that's when it really hits people. Excess charges are the biggest one I can think of. People don't think that's important. In Ohio, it's not. In a few other states, it's not. It's a big deal everywhere else.
Yeah,
but no one warns you. By the way, look for people that'll warn you about stuff. If anyone, by the way, if anyone goes, okay, I'll do that. Nope. Unless you should actually look out for someone who goes, okay, well, that's good. By the way, there's a difference in between this, and I need you to know about that. If someone's just too eager to take an order from you, watch out. Either they don't know what it is, or they really aren't interested.
Yeah. Like I had a previous client of mine, I was checking on her rate. She was good, had the lowest rate. She said, but you know what? She's like, I need a dental plan. I'm pretty sure I need one. I'm like, why? What makes you think you need one? Well, because I've just never had one, and I've never thought I needed one. And somebody said I probably need one. And I mean, I get cleanings once a year, and I probably need one. I said, well, let's talk about that. Let's do the math. And like, in the end, I'm like, it just doesn't make sense, based on just I said, something changes, give me a call, but, I use the example of I'm setting my own mother up on her Medicare, and her dental health is as good as yours. And it's just, we're going to hold off on it because it just doesn't make sense. So I'm giving you the mama treatment. If you were my mama, I would tell you, it's at this point with what's available, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Right. Right. And in certain people,
she couldn't believe me. She could not believe. She was just like, oh, okay. Well, yeah, you're right. That makes total sense. She just was totally dumbfounded.
right.
That she was ready to buy something, and I made her, question why.
So that's,
it's funny. This is, we talked about the salespeople who just take the sale too quick. And you saying that, it just reminded me that I did that this morning. But it's a little bit of a different scenario because it's this husband and this wife, and sadly the husband just passed away. But they come to me for everything. The wife's not even my client. It was one of those old mutual deals to where she could qualify for an internal conversion, and I know I wouldn't get paid on it, but I did it anyway because it saved them money.
right.
Even because if I had him on the books, I didn't have her on the books. But so he recently passed away, and she just sent me an email. It was like, hey, because I know you have in my mutual. Do you do the mutual plans that are like $23 and 40 something cents a month? And then I go to the mutual quote, and I take a screenshot, and I was like, this one? I was like, oh yeah, it's a simple e-sig. If all your payment information is the same, I can just send over the contract. And then now when you're saying that, I was like, I sound like such a D word here. That she's like looking into these dental plans, and I'm like, oh, here's the easy way out. Like, look, I can do the application. Let me just email it to you. You have to do one signature. I already have your payment information. But like now looking back, I'm like, like I should have been like,
what she's asking for is, what does it do?
I should be like, hey, give me a shout. I'll go over it.
Right.
But it's eating me up now that you said that. I'm thinking,
Well, after this, go call her and
It's
fix that.
$23.
Yes.
It's $23, but
$23 matters.
it does. No, it does. It does. I'm sorry I'm so good at making you look bad, but
I'll
$250.
leave you.
that's a you problem.
Here's your, we go back to giving out Medicare card and stuff like that. I'll tell this story as we're kind of dwindling down here with it. But anytime I work from home, something always hits the fan. And whether it's with my client, whether it's another client, something hits the fan and I have to deal with it. So This was like more than half a year ago. I had a lady that I wrote over to United Healthcare, an ERP for a supplemental plan. And I told her, I go, look, they might do an underwriting call. So and this is what I tell everybody to go, the company might call you for a health underwriter review. Just make sure it is them that is calling. And that's it. Ask them who they are, who they're with, what do they need, everything like that. So she got a call one day at like 9:00, right, from the underwriters. And they were like, oh no, like we don't need to do a call, perfect, whatever. She gets a call at 9:15 from somebody that claims that they are United Healthcare and AARP. And they're like, oh, we need your Medicare card number. So they enrolled her into an Advantage plan, even when she had no SEP, because she was expecting, okay, United Healthcare is going to call me and ask me some health questions here.
Oh my goodness.
So that person, so she might have said, hey, are you United Healthcare? And he goes, oh yeah, I represent United Healthcare. And she goes, oh, okay. But here's the moral story. We got it back. Oh, I added the dude on LinkedIn. I was so pissed. But I go, do you have the phone number that you called? And I called the company with her on the line. And I was like, look, I'm dealing with X name here. She just got enrolled into an Advantage plan, like unwillingly. This is against the law. Like, this is fraud. Everything here should be done. They go, okay, let me get you the right person. So they transfer over. I'm like, yes, I have such and such online with me. They go, okay, and what's their Medicare number? And I go, you don't need that. And they go, well, yes, we do, to find them in the system. And I go, you absolutely do not need their
I'm an
Medicare.
agent for you guys. I know you don't.
No, that wasn't me calling AARP. That was me calling the competitor
Wonderful.
agency. So the agency picks up everybody that calls and goes, okay, what's your first name and last name? Okay, perfect. Now we work with Medicare. So what's your Medicare ID number?
Yeah, do not go with anyone that does that right away. All consumers, you should not be divulging that information until you know for a fact that that is the company, the plan, and the person you want to go with. No one needs your Medicare number right away to have a
Because
conversation
all it takes
with
is a Medicare number to sign up with an Advantage plan. And that is absolutely what she did not want. Like, we were even shooting for a level 2 with United Health.
Right.
She was not in good health. But just the fact that this person called and then I called with her on the line and they're like, okay, what's her Medicare number? And I'm just dumbfounded. I'm like, you don't need that. Why do you ask for that? They go, well, we can't continue the call and I can't get you to the agent that wrote her unless we get her Medicare number.
Oh, no.
And I go, I'm not divulging that whatsoever. Like, not doing it. And that just, struck me when we talked about what to look for in agents and things like that.
You're going to be real careful. They're probably going to get a CMS complaint.
This is before the new
Oh, that's
reporting,
another thing to
things like
watch
that
out
too.
for,
Yeah.
clients out there. Every agent after October 1st, no matter whether there's a Medicare specialist, a general agent, anything, if they're dealing with anything like a Medicare, or if there's a possibility for a drug plan or Advantage plan service that you need, they're going to have to read a statement to you, right? It doesn't matter. It is a third-party marketing organization rule, and it's for agents. It's for everything you can think of. So you're going to be hearing those statements. It doesn't mean that the person's not on the phone to help you. It's just, it has to be done. There's been so many cases like the one you just talked about that the government's coming down and saying, just like everything, it's like, everybody has to do it now. It's like, but I think overall it'll help people. But that's the thing, right? You shouldn't watch out for people that are trying to capitalize and make a sale as soon as they hear something they want, or trying to get the information right away. There is no way in hell you should be divulging a Social Security number or Medicare ID number, MBI, Medicare Beneficiary ID, when you first talk to someone. That's just no.
That's why when it happens here, when it slips, because I know we have some people that have some old training. But whenever they would say, you know what? Oh, you don't have your Medicare card? All right, let me go into the CMS portal. And I was like, oh my Jesus, stop.
No.
We aren't those people.
We're
now
not those
why
people.
We do that. Because we're not those people. I don't need your MBI to tell me what you need.
Right.
I need to talk to you.
Yes. And it's okay if that conversation takes an hour or two.
Yes.
You deserve it.
Eventually we need
For God's sakes, you made it to Medicare. You deserve that.
You're putting the wedding before you're putting the first date. That's what you're doing.
Let's wrap it up here. Let's go a summation for the clients out there that'll be listening to this. First off, go through the things that you should look for. Look for people that are showing an interest in you as a person, not what you want or what I can sell you, right? What else? Number 2.
Look out for things that you didn't even think yourself to look out for.
Look out for
Warn
things you didn't even think yourself to look out for. Number 3. Honesty. Number 4.
Things that people that will warn you if there's some problem that you sound like you're about to run into. Warn you about upcoming anything negative.
Provide you value unsolicited.
Right.
Right. They're willing to give you value without you having to do a tit for tat. And then I mean, I would say the other one, people that aren't going to sit there and as soon as they get a piece of information they want to hear, try to go ahead and sign you up right away. You know, you should, by the end of a conversation, if you're with a real expert, whether in this office or outside, you should want to sign up with them. It should feel natural. It should feel, you know, I got the information I need. And by the way, a good agent or a good specialist out there is going to tell you, my goal is to get this done. But my goal is to make sure that you can make a decision in the perfect time frame for you. Right? And sometimes that's the same call, sometimes it's not. I mean, we all know that people aren't going to remember half of what we talked about by the time they have supper. That's just normal. But they should do the work. They should do the work and before that. And by the way, clients, don't stop them from doing the work. You know, if you sit there, but you should look, like you guys are saying, you should look out for the guy that says, yeah, I'm not going to do it that way. Oh, I just want to sign up. Well, I don't work that way. I don't know what you know. I don't know who you talked to before. And I'm not going to go ahead and put my license on the line. And I'm not going to also sign you up with something that you don't know about. I couldn't sell you a car if you didn't have a driver's license. Right?
I think one of the biggest compliments that I know you and me have gotten, because I've heard you get it on the phone, but it's a situation to where you get people and you run through every single possible wide funnel scenario of what a person could have, and it gets down to it, and you're so thorough, you do everything, but you go eventually, look, you're in the best spot possible, and they go, that sucks.
Right.
and they go, no, that's good. And they're like, no, it's terrible because I want you.
Right.
Like, and they go, what can I buy from you right now? And then you and me do the same thing. We go, absolutely nothing, because you don't need anything else. Like, yeah, I wish you were my client. Yeah, I wish you were paying $1,000 for a plan G and I could rewrite you down to 100. I do. But at the end of the day, I think that's the highest compliment that we've ever gotten is I want to buy something from you because you've done so much to help me. You've given me so much information. It's been such a great conversation. Like that was the guy this morning. But then at the end of the day, we push that back too. They tried to give us our phone number at the bar. They tried to do everything. We go, no, I don't want to sell you because what I sell you is not going to help you.
Well, and also there's another component of that too, right? And this goes into the honesty, even at the detriment of what my offer is. I will tell a client if there is something less expensive than what I'm proposing, but I will also tell them why I propose the other thing. If someone has iffy health and there's a new company out that's lowballing their price because they don't even have actuarial data yet, I will tell them. And that's it. This is the lowest cost option. This is what I'm recommending because of X, Y, and Z. If you want the other one, I'll sign you up with it. However, that's not my job to be an order placer and just go with the cheapest thing.
Right.
Otherwise, why would you need me? I'm here to provide you insight and guidance and help. Right? That's why I haven't been replaced by a robot yet.
Like a Medicare sommelier.
Yes, it's a I don't know what smelliness has to do with anything, but yeah.
All right.
So anyhow, guys, just remember, clients out there, make sure that you look over these points that we're talking about. People that are showing an interest, they're not trying to sell you right away. They'll tell you the truth. They'll reveal something behind the curtain that you didn't know. All of those good things. And agents, please do yourself a favor and try to provide those things, right? We're in a world where that's not happening enough, and it's making us all worse for it. Or you know what? Don't do it, and I'll just get all your clients. How about that? But yeah, guys, and if you want to know more, if it happens to be that some of our clients are watching this and you want to see how we do that, we'll even discuss about our processes. If you just want to call in and talk to an agent about how we handle other clients and what our mantras are, feel free to do that. And if you need help with us, if you need help with anything Medicare, please give us a call. That way, it's far easier to get it done right the first time than it is to come back and fix another mess. So everybody, have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you again.